Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com, talking about number 4, and it's going to be about uh, uh, guides or translators. Um, it's just that kind of stuff. Um, uh, I, I, okay. Remember, I've been to Cuba. Cuba, and that was in the year 2000. And both one thing Cuba and China have got in common is they're both communists. The thing is, China now is not near as communist as it used to be, and so it's changed. Now in Cuba, I had a hard time. I don't speak Spanish, and so I couldn't communicate with anybody. And in Cuba at that time, they spoke Russian because Russia occupied Cuba for years, and Spanish. I tried to find people to talk to because, but I'm not a tourist. I'm not a tourist. I like get on the tourist route. I get out and I see things. So I talk to people. I couldn't find anybody to talk to me. And then when they talked to me, they would be walk. I'd talk to them, but they wouldn't get right close to me and talk to me. They would step away, and we'd be walking, and they'd be talking. And they'd be maybe 6 foot away, and it was hard. Every time I'd go over close to them, try to talk to them, they'd go further away, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then so I'd be talking, and then pretty soon they just turn around and walk away, and what's going on? Did I say something to offend them? And so I ended up going to Chinatown, and in Chinatown in Havana, and so when I was in there, and they told me, go inside there, and so I went inside there, and there were some old Chinamen in there, and they could speak English, and so that's where I got most of my information right there. They could talk to me inside in the privacy inside there, and they told me that it was illegal for the people to talk to tourists. Now, in Cuba, you don't see tourists. At that time, you never saw tourists anywhere. They would stay, tourists stay in certain hotels. They'd get on the bus, and they'd take them almost about maybe over half of the way from the island, and down this road. And then when you looked on the bus and you're looking down, you see all these nice little villages clear off in the distance there, and you can see the people there and stuff like that. So, and then they'd stop at a convenience store, and people would go inside the convenience store and get what they wanted, stuff like that. No big deal. And then they turn around and they go back to Havana. I don't do that stuff. I drove it. And I'm going down that same highway, and I see the tourist bus. And I thought, well, hey, they got tourists here. But they weren't Americans at that time. There were no Americans. They were from all over the world, but not Americans. And I said, well, look at the village over there. And I thought, good. So we went over to the village. And it was a fake village. It was far enough away you could see the huts, and they had cutouts, silhouettes of people. And that's what you saw. And so from the distance, it looked like it. Now, it was like in a valley. They got these mountains on both sides, and not real high, kind of hills. And the village was on the side of that hill. Now, you get on the other side of the hill, is where I went, and there was the real people there. And they were poor. They had nothing. They were living in mud huts. It was really, really bad. So in other words, what I'm saying is they try to make things appear a certain way, and that's why you had to have a license to talk to the tourists, because to get the license they tell you the kind of stuff you talk about and what you don't talk about and this type of stuff. So that's what it was in Cuba. All right. Here, everyone, in your mind, you have to remember, everyone that you see is an agent of the state. And some are more agent than the others. Most all of them are, they call 911, or here it's 119. Most all of them would do that. I don't know if, I haven't crossed paths with anybody that's like me. When I see something wrong, I get myself involved. And I haven't seen anybody like that here. So now, and then normally the older ones, they are the ones that are really the real snitches. They'll rat on you for, I don't know what they're ratting on me for. I haven't done nothing. What they taking taking pictures. They'll rat on you for taking pictures and stuff like that. So, and then like I say, so you'd be taking pictures, and next thing you know, there's police all around you. It's not illegal, but they just don't want you doing it. And and that's the way they do things like that here. Social pressures is a big thing. Okay, so that's why people are obedient. They're pretty much go along with what they're supposed to do. The ones that aren't obedient, they're not here anymore. So that's kind of like my family. My family in the United States, they're the ones that weren't all that obedient, so they left. So, but anyway, what does this have to do with getting a translator? Okay, I am sure you can go somewhere and find a certified government translator. Now, all he'll be will be a propaganda machine. What I talk about in Cuba, they're taught what to say and what don't say. Don't let the people go here. Don't let them go there. You know this type of stuff. I would say that's what's going to happen here when you get a professional translator. I'm just guessing now. But if he's been certified by the state, by the government, I am pretty sure he's a propaganda machine. And like I say, I don't really care what countries do. I don't really care what people do. What I want to do is learn. I watch and learn and see and ask questions, and to see why people do things. Because I see people do some, I say in Central America, I see drug dealers, and I ask them, what are you doing this for? Why? How? I mean, they're doing some pretty bad stuff. And I ask people, so I don't have no problem asking people, putting people to the fire. Same thing. Yeah, you can ask me anything. I'll tell you. I mean, then that's what I do. If I was to get a professional translator, I'm sure I wouldn't know anything. You might say the words, but I'm not going to know nothing. I've been here. I've had 3 people that travel with me, translators. 2 were college boys, and they could speak English, but they didn't last long. And the main reason why they didn't last long is because I asked way too many questions. They don't know the answers. And that made them have to think. And then, So, and then when they have to think, they have to, and I tell them, you don't have to justify anything to me. I don't care. I just want to know what you're thinking about why do these people do like this? I'm just asking. And it was hard for them to back all this stuff up. One guy, when I got the motorcycle, I told him I want to get the motorcycle. He says, "Well, you can't." Why? Why can't I? And he said, "Well, nobody just said you could have it." And I said, "Well, nobody said I can't have it. I mean, is it illegal? I don't know. I'm asking." And it was just too many things like that. That was the last straw. When I got the motorcycle, that's when he said, that's it. You can't handle me anymore. So, in other words, and that tells you how my questions are that tough, and that's why they don't do well. That's why I did well with Charlie. You notice I made a whole bunch of videos talking about Charlie, and even now I still talk about Charlie. Because Charlie was, he was 50 years old, and he was confident in who he was. And why we got along with each other is we ask each other all kinds of questions. So we had to stand behind who we were. And so that worked really well. So, and then now I'm not saying like in Central America and South America, they will not only mislead you, translators, but they will send you off somewhere and get you in trouble. Here, I still meet people, I talk to people, and nobody really gets me in trouble. Normally they're worried they're going to get in trouble, so they stay away from me. We'll spend some time together. I ask too many questions, and then they leave. I love talking to the women. The women here that speak English is they're a whole lot more fun. The one thing is what I've learned is don't ask them these hard questions. So because like I say, the personal responsibility is not, I don't even think it's in the vocabulary. I mean, that's not taught. They're not taught personal responsibility. So so I don't like to put them in a position where they have to take personal responsibility. They're not used to it. It's a pressure. So, and that's what happens when you get a translator or a guide that's going to take you around. And I say the guide, I'd use the women to use me for a guide. And then normally we go to a park, a place where the Chinese tourists go, and then they will escort me to these places and stuff like that. And that's about it. But I say the men just don't seem to, they can't handle the pressures. And so, and like I say, I don't believe in equal rights, so I don't treat the women the same as I do the men. I'm much easier with the women. But anyway, that's it on getting a translator. So now you know why I do things the way I do. Just Mike, NoStressMike.com. Now we're going to go to the next one. 5.